Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Oh my goodness. I'm seeing these chats just coming in. What's up, Web3 Node? Panchu, what's going on, my brother? How you doing, man, out there in India? Really appreciate it. I see turkeys out there watching in. Hello, all. Really excited about this live stream today. Me and Pete got a chance to talk maybe a month or two ago. And Pete, I really want to dive into your story and folks listening in. What really excited me about this live stream in particular is, Pete, and you'll go into more detail, is a perfect example of somebody that is not natively a technical developer. He's a founder, and with the access of blockchain, AI, and Circle and Arc technology, is really able to take ideas to launch. And so I'm really happy to dive into this. I hope you all enjoy this live stream. And let's give Pete a warm welcome to our community. Pete, how's it going?
Great. Awesome, Sam. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So maybe let's start at the top, man. If you can introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background and how you landed with that really cool Arc t-shirt that I don't even have.
Yeah, I mean, this is take it with me wherever I go. I got rocking the colors and the logo.
Yeah, awesome. If you're jealous out there, yeah, let us know because I am too. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself, Pete.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a three-time founder, most recently of a consumer fintech app called Hundi, which was a top 100 app in the App Store finance category, peer-to-peer micro lending app. A decade before that, I was the co-founder of a music tech company called Sound Flavor. And then way back in the early days of the web, I was on the founding team of one of the first local commerce plays that got acquired by one of the big search engines of the day. So
Nice.
been around for a fair bit, seen a lot. And about
awesome.
a year ago, I started vibe coding. And started slowly, and then it picked up. And about 6 months ago, I competed in my first hackathon, a Replit Stripe hackathon, and won that with a project called InstaGift, which turns any local business into a gift card. And 2 weeks later, I competed in the Agent Mail Hackathon at YC and won the VibeCode track for that, which was Replic's track. And so really kind of started getting my feet wet with this coding thing. I've been in hackathons before, but as a participant, helping but not coding. So this was just a new thing for me, and I got to say, a lot of fun, right?
Man, can I jump in real quick? I want the listeners to really pay attention here. And it really shows to me the power and the impact of hackathons. Hackathons really open up so many opportunities, and I want to say I'm really glad that it helped connect us together, Pete. How was your experience in hackathons? You mentioned it was fun. Just on that note, right? As someone that's a founder, an accomplished founder, why hackathons, and why did you see that as a great opportunity? I'm just kind of curious about that.
My day-to-day is to help founders, early founders, from founding stage to pre-seed, build their companies and then get funding. I was more focused on helping them with the funding, which, there's a lot that, the narrative and the financial model, the deck, and putting that all together. But then as vibe coding came along, I started switching to helping them build more and actually, get stuff done that could help them from a product standpoint. These hackathons are fun because if you have a broad experience like founders do and wear a lot of hats, you can now go in and use that expertise to deliver something without hiring a development team, without finding a good UX design person, doing a lot of it yourself, testing it, getting it out there. And hackathons are the microcosm of that, right? You just go in and this hackathon was, the first one I won it was a one-day hackathon, but essentially only had about 4 hours to hack, 4 hours to get something done. Fortunately, I'd had this idea percolating for a while, and I think that always helps with hackathons, is to have an idea that you're already behind and have thought about. So when you get into this accelerated pace, you don't have to waste your time about thinking through the reasoning and the rationale for what you're doing, and you're already excited about it. So that definitely helped there. But yeah, it's just it definitely gives you a lot of endorphins that just get you going when you're under the gun and you have a tool that you can produce something in that short amount of time that's actually demonstrable, that delivers on some value point that you can show to judges and other people competing in a hackathon.
That's awesome. Shout out to our team, Corey Cooper, who leads our DevRel, Jenna, who's leading our programming, Anthony as well, who's on our ecosystem growth team. It's really great, really good testimony of the power of hackathons, and I know we will do more of those. So yeah.
By the way, I saw all three of those guys in Cannes last week.
Shout out to the team. Nice.
Yeah, the ETH Global Hackathon that I was in. So
you know what? That's great. I tell people all the time. I was talking to someone today. I said I think that we are probably the most accessible, for better or for worse, folks at Circle than anybody. So yeah, shout out to the entire team, Jenna, Corey, Anthony, the rest of our DevRel team that's out there on these hackathons. So yeah, you gave us your background, which is awesome, and you came to these hackathons. Obviously, there's a lot of directions that you could have gone. Maybe at a high level, we can intro your interest in what you built with VibeCard, and then later on we can kind of go a little deeper into the deck that you put together.
Yeah, so VibeCard is something I had been kind of thinking about on the side. I mean, the concept of virality, and Andrew Chen at A16Z writes about virality a lot, and so he called it his brain dump on viral loops. He wrote that last fall and published it, and it got me thinking about his thinking was that virality sort of had its heyday back in the 2000s, and then mobile killed it, and now AI is sort of bringing it back, but it's bringing it back still in that way that, like, if you remember, you get onto these apps and they grab your entire contact database and email them all, right? And
Right.
be totally okay with that because it was new, right? It had never been done before. And these things would get these viral spikes and they'd get, high initial engagement, but then they would have low retention. And so that's kind of what we're seeing. We're seeing those spikes happen in AI right now. But he's like, with PLG and with AI, growth loops, you should be able to do something better. And so I was thinking, like, let's combine crypto, let's combine the incentives, financial incentives that you can now do at scale with X402 with a new viral growth mechanism. And that was what VibeCard came from.
Nice. Yeah, you know what? I think that's awesome. We can go over. I know that you have a good overview here, and I can go and bring that screen up right now. So
Yeah.
Here we go. This is a VibeCard.
Okay, so this is I remixed this. This is, remixing. If you're not vibe coding, remixing is something a lot of the platforms offer. I had created a demo for the hackathon. I remixed it and now have modified it to kind of fit what we wanted to do here. But originally built for the Agentic Commerce on Arc hackathon that you guys held about 3 months ago. And so now I'll walk you through essentially what I did there for the project. And this is kind of what I just talked about, the viral history and what Andrew Chen had put forward. And so I built VibeCard to be that AI era solution that uses stable coins to power a viral growth network. So members get paid to create, share, and remix, and it's all powered by, USDC on Arc. And the way it looks on the left is VibeCard sits in the middle. This is our go-to-market. Our go-to-market is to partner with all the vibe coding platforms. And, we sit in the middle of all those platforms. And they all have their app creators, their users that are building trackers and calculators and dashboards and recipe makers and on and on. They would, in this model on the right here, they would fund a reward pool. They would fund the reward pool because they're building their ecosystem and they want their creators to get distribution. And so that's why this is the sort of the go-to-market. And they would promote to their creators that you would add VibeCard to your app when you're building it. That would integrate some snippets of code into their platform that would track what sharers do with those apps, let them earn USDC for that sharing. Some of those viewers would convert to platform users, and then some would remix and publish more content. And so everybody kind of wins here. The platforms get more users, the app creators get distribution, and the sharers get financial incentive or cash. And so this would start the beginnings of the flywheel. And so why would this work? Why now, right? So back in 2017, stablecoins came out. It took a while, though, for all the pieces needed for something like this to happen. And into the end of last year, all those pieces finally came together, which is native USDC on Arc, embedded wallets, non-custodial wallets, Micropayments on X402, and super low gas costs. And if you combine that with the Cambrian explosion of user-generated software. User-generated software is the new user-generated content of 20 years ago, right? So user-generated software is now being done, created at hundreds of thousands. It was like 3 months ago, it was 100,000 a day. Now it's hundreds of thousands a day are being created.
That's
And
amazing.
all these builders can build fast and ship fast, but they still need help with distribution. They still need help with marketing. And so our premise is that if you combine some financial incentives and use crypto, the leverage of crypto to do that, you can now create the distribution, a new distribution layer for the long tail of UGS. So that's, essentially coupling this UGS wave with instant financial incentives is going to kick off a new wave of exponential viral growth. And so this is how, 1 second here. All right. Let me see if I have any notes from you guys. Okay. So this is how it would work for the content creator. Super easy for them to add our snippet. So I actually took this solar system visualizer from Replit's gallery. They have a gallery of content that people, of user-generated software that people publish. And I remixed it. So I turned the solar system visualizer into a 3i Atlas comet tracker. And if you recall, this is what some people thought this 3i Atlas comet was an alien probe.
Yeah. I think I might have thought that too at one point. I don't know, man. That was kind of big, kind of close. I don't know.
I mean, I thought enough of it to build an app out of it, but the date came and passed. It was mid-March, but this was tracking that, and if it deviated a certain amount, then it might be alien, blah, blah, blah. But, that has the potential to be viral, something like that, right? So, hey, I'd want to publish it with this VibeCard in it. So I would just do this code on the right, and that would enable the things to be tracked. And sorry, 1 second. I just had the text come in here. All right. So that would enable the remix to be tracked, the share action to be tracked. And in the end, though, you want those actions to be tracked to a conversion event. And so all that, because you don't want all the sharing to go on without some goal in mind, right? And the goal in mind for Replit is this, if you can see the made with Replit in the lower right here, this is what they want, right? They want people to click on this and become users. The owner of, me, the owner of 3i Atlas wants it to be, wants more people to see it. And then the shares want to get paid. So this SDK on the right here enables all that to happen. And here's what it could look like on some actual websites. So I actually I took three. These are just vibe coded apps. They're well known to be vibe coded apps that have gone viral. And so I just mocked these up with what it would look like if the VibeCard was integrated into these sites. And you can see the hover over for a reward that just got started. This is a trending, so 23 shares in the last 10 minutes, what I'd get paid there, and what I get paid on this campaign if it might, it wasn't quite done yet, and I still had a chance to get in. And these are hardwired, so this is a TikTok example. If I wanted to go in and actually share, here's what I would get. Here's what would happen. I'd get my 80 cents, and I'd be instantly in, or I've already been in the VibeCard if I've already got money going on here. But I've just crossed the threshold where I could get cash out. We don't have the cash out mocked up, but that's what would happen here. On this trending one, I post on Instagram, and here I've not quite hit the threshold to get cash out. But I could see that I earned 80 cents and what my total was. And finally, going on X, I've done some great work here. I'm up above 200 bucks, right? So I definitely probably would want to cash out fairly soon on that one. So that's how the visual queuing would work and incentives would work to get people geared up to share. And so now this is the live demo. So maybe should I jump into the live demo now, or
let me see if there's any.
Are there any questions before I do this, or should I just pop into this?
Let me go ahead and double check. Let me see if there's any live questions. So there was a question here by Amor X, and he was curious. What was some of the what was the most challenging part for you while building this?
Got it. I would say, this page right here, right, the live demo, and this kind of goes into what I was going to talk about, but getting these things right here, oops, these highlight, there we go. These things set up. So, and I need to, actually, it looks like I need to reset this. So I'm going to reset it. This actually, what was the hardest thing for me? This button right here, getting the treasury to refund. So it's getting this treasury set up, getting it set up to move money out of the treasury on the conversion tracking event using X402. I'm not going to say that was easy, but all of the SDKs and the documentation and all that were great, and Replica could use that pretty easily. What it couldn't do was help me figure out how to get the money back into the treasury account, which is what I'm doing right now, because I forgot to clear this demo before we set this up. So now the demo is cleared and ready to start. But that was actually the hardest part to get set up here. So the way the demo works is we've got all these things configured, as I pointed out. We've got a funded treasury of 3589, and we've got this is mirroring the setup that I just showed you, where we had the solar system visualizer, and then Matt did that, so you can see that here. And then Pete, that was me. I remixed it into the 3i Atlas tracker, and then Manny is a sharer that will share that, and that's what we're going to do in the demo. And you'll see the conversion tracking event. I'm looking at the transaction flow on the lower left here, and the reward calculator happen, the X402 facilitator do the splits, and then the wallet's getting funded. So I'm going to hit run demo, and you'll see, we'll come back to the log in a second, but on the lower right here, you'll see the wallet payouts happen in less than 10 seconds. And so the creator now got funded, the remixer and the sharer got funded, and transactions were created on testnet that show that those wallet payouts were actually made. And if we go up to the top here, you can see the flow. So we were started here, if you recall, with the treasury funded at 3589. The VibeCard content ID was created for that piece of that 3i Atlas tracker. That was the share ID. We fired a pixel on there. That conversion tracking event was for simplicity, I made share complete as the conversion event, and that triggered the X402 facilitator to do the atomic splits among the creator, remixer, and share. And so $2 was the amount we set up for that, was shared according to some splits that we had designated above to each of those participants in the VibeCard, in that viral sharing chain that just happened. And you'll see the treasury balance has now been adjusted accordingly with a very small amount of gas coming out to do all that. So
very neat, very neat. And so it looks like Circle Wallets, X402, Gateway, and of course Arc is the core stack.
Yeah, that's the core stack. And so let's just take it. That's the next slide here.
And while you go over there too, so this is a good question. Shout out to Web3 Node. And I can also add to this question as well. So he was like, how is the long-term financial sustainability of the reward system achievable, right? So like these companies, ideally they're paying out, these payments out. Is that like, will that maybe come from their marketing budget essentially? So rather than paying for clicks, they're paying for, creators to share it. Is that how the model you envision being done?
I mean, generally how these things work is, you have you're in fog, right? And you kind of see some clarity, and you build your demo for the hackathon. I'm not going to pretend I have all that figured out right now.
Sure.
Right? But here's what I have figured out, right? I think there's a real good, strong case where you could go to Replit, or you could go to Lovable, or you could go to Circle Origin, where we have a very great relationship, right? And say, we have a way to take what you already have a marketing budget. You're already spending money on getting users in. Why not use that marketing budget to promote your creators? So, let's say they defined a budget across a bunch of creators. We don't know which creators are going to go viral, right?
Right.
So the thinking is that it's kind of like a meta ad engine, right? It's always the ML is figuring out what the algorithm, what it's going to show, and the algorithm is also doing this. It's like what apps have the potential to go viral. We seed a few apps, we see what they do, and then we start putting money into the ones that we know are going to do well. So it's the same thing that happens inside of Meta, but now this is like a whole nother way to promote your content and your user-generated software outside of the traditional, Instagram and Meta and X. You can do that now with these financial incentives. I think the initial model is a Replit pays for, a conversion event, which is this made with Replit. That's people clicking on that. You have to, if you're going to use the VibeCard and you're going to use the money that they're providing, you have to use this as an optional setting right now. So you would have to put that on there because they need the way to drive the conversion event. If you don't have it on there, you won't get any measurement of your viral sharing, so you'll never get shared. But if you have that going and people start clicking on that, and you have a piece of content or user-generated software that drives clicks of that, then that will feed the engine. The engine will respond to that, right? And it will start putting more money into the visual cue that goes up. It'll now be $1.20 instead of 80 cents. The more viral you get, the more rewards happen to keep driving it. Sort of a self-fulfilling loop that happens, right? This is how virality happens. But this is virality driven by financial incentive now. It's almost like the financial incentive inside of Meta is their ad engine, right? That's what fun is. This is now a financial incentive outside of that. There's no ads going on. It's just pure pay for play, but it gravitates only to the best content that should be viral, right? And so, and you may have a conversion event that doesn't pay as much, but you may have a highly viral piece of user-generated software. So it'll still break away and have a viral factor above 1, which is what you need. You really need something above 1.1 or 1.2. And, the thinking is that, I'm sorry, this is a very long-winded answer, but.
No, go ahead, man.
I said there was some fog here, right? But, you just need a lift. You need to lift what your normal spread would be by 30-40%. You need to get from 0.8 viral factor to 1.2. And if you can get it over the 1 by adding these financial incentives, you'll surface more content. You'll get more content spread out there. Obviously very untested. But I think, with a lot of heavy math and machine learning, you could really make something like this work.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to, we talked about in the beginning, right? Is the real goal and power of hackathons, right? Is to test out ideas, explore things in a fun way. So yeah, I think that's great. And another thing too that comes to mind that I'm starting to think about, and maybe even some of the viewers will have to think about too, is that there's these different business models and ways to make money with apps that I think maybe people aren't really thinking about, right? Like you talked about people build apps and there's one aspect of earning directly within the app. but then there's also the growth that you get by your app being popular, and the advertising leverage and ways for you to earn money that way. You're shaking your head, so maybe I'm kind of thinking it correctly. I mean,
Yeah,
and
no, I think that, I mean, that goes into the final slide here, right? Which is, again, I think our go-to-market is where the money already is and where the ecosystems are being built around this user-generated software, which are the vibe coding platforms. But once you build up a name for VibeCard with that go-to-market, the second segment you go to are the individual creators who either, to your point, have a monetization strategy already built in. They already have Stripe plugged in. They already have, some monetization where they're willing. They want to increase that monetization, so they would pay for their own. They would fund their own campaigns. In the platform partner structure, we actually have the creators collecting money off of that reward pool because they're not the ones paying for it. They could also choose to forego that and fund just the shares and the remixers. That would further help with their spread if they didn't want to get paid. But in this model, in phase 2, they're not going to pay themselves. They're putting money in so that they get users and distribution. And they're probably doing that because they have a monetization strategy that they want to test out. Will this viral network match the lifetime value versus the customer acquisition cost? Will it hit or exceed that 3-to-1 ratio that you're trying to get to? And if it does, then they'll keep spending on it, right? So
right.
That's and then beyond that, major publishers will see now that if phase 2 is successful, they would get in the game as just another organic channel to test out and run against their campaigns that they're already funding. And then we're now set up for the Rails. We've got the financial rails set up for agent to agent viral promotion. When Robot Money takes over, we're all ready to go, ready to handle that. So that's it on the deck. So we finished that.
Nice. No, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing all that.
Yeah.
Looking at some of the questions that have been coming in. Someone made a comment here. VibeCard is kind of like an automated version of YouTube's payment system. How would you say? Yeah, no.
I mean, it's been so long since I even used that. I would say yes. I mean, I think that's a fair. I don't know. I mean, I assume that still works with fiat. It doesn't happen instantly. So one of the things, I know you guys didn't want me to. There's a certain way I have to describe this, but one of the beauties of VibeCard is that you don't onboard right away. You get an instant wallet, non-custodial wallet created for you. And so there's no onboarding friction.
That's
like
perfect.
With a normal affiliate deal, you got to set up and go through KYC and all that. Now you push that to the end of the process, and you start earning this money into these non-custodial wallets. And so there's no friction in you getting in and starting share and earning. And so I think that's probably different than what happens in the YouTube framework. So,
another question. Yeah, another question on that was slightly different, I would say. What determines how the rate of the payment, like quality, engagements, because there were like different, like with different the different ads that you use as examples, the payout was different. So is that like, hey, if I have 30,000 followers, is it tracked that way, and then I get paid out accordingly?
So I think there's a whole reputation system. Like if you are constantly promoting high viral content that's highly viral, and we're tracking you become an influencer on the platform essentially. So you may have opportunities to get higher payments. You may see stuff when it first starts. So you get in. Now, this is one thing that I don't really hit on too much, is that you get more the earlier you are. So you get so you, if you're early on a campaign, if you identify that piece of highly viral content, you're like almost like a VC, and that you're picking out the best companies in this case. And so if you get in, you're going to actually earn downstream. So there was a slide I had in here that was about that. I took that out. It wasn't in our agenda, but it was in the original pitch. But it shows what happens to downstream or downline, if you want to call it that, shares. You get more the earlier you are in. You are in on the sharing. So all of that comes into play in this model.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I know that X, I want to say the CTO, but he's been pretty vocal online as far as like, people trying to gamify, because they also have a payment model, right? That X uses, and people trying to gamify it. And one of the things he called out yesterday is he'll notice that people will just copy already existing viral content. So it's similar to what you're saying. It's like, hey, you get there early, we can track your impact at an early stage. And then that's how you're able to build up that trust and reputation within the platform. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure.
And this person brought up too. So like, I know you talked about this, is can VibeCard be used by AI agents to coordinate payments across multiple participants in real time? Is that something that you envision as part of the roadmap? I know you mentioned AI agents being or this being optimized for AI agents in your deck as well.
Well, I mean, the way this question is framed, it sounds more general. It's not designed yet to support agentic to agentic. Though, I mean, if an agent's coming in and able to, to do what a person would do, we're not trying to track that. Certainly, we're not trying to track that right now. Would we try to prevent that? Probably not. I was just in a hackathon, the one in Cannes, where World was the primary sponsor, and my project was to use World to determine if a real human was behind the action.
Neat.
And I could see there were campaigns where you would want to only have humans, and we could certainly build that in using World ID. But I mean, I'm with the questioner on this. I wanted to get to supporting, payments. I mean, certainly X402 distributed payments among agents, it would do that. It can do that now. But being a little more extensible to more payment kinds of frameworks among multiple agents, yeah, we'd love it to do that. I think there's a lot more work to do before that, though.
Right. Neat. As you mentioned, for instance, in the beginning, you've come from a non on-chain crypto native environment. As you've been going through all these different hackathons and rolling up your sleeves, how has that reception been kind of with your, let's say your more traditional developer and founder network? Are you starting to see that their receptiveness is starting to evolve a little bit, or still like a long way to go?
You mean receptiveness around somebody
like as far as building with more, building more on-chain stuff, because it's because you came from a more traditional market before coming to the crypto space?
I would say, I mean, I have a technical background. I have a degree in electrical engineering, but I never outside of school, I didn't write any software, right?
Right.
So I would say both the coding, general coding environment, looking at a non-coder coming in and competing with them, totally open arms, like there's no pushback at all, right? And I think they're a lot of them are using these tools too, right? I mean, I use Replit. Everybody else, most coders use Cursor, right? And they're just on either side of the technical fence, right? But they're very close to each other. And And
Now,
then
what about like, yeah, what about that same audience as far as, integrating stable coins and leveraging blockchain? Because like, as you mentioned, you came from, you have a technical background and you worked in that environment. Are you seeing a lot more people like yourself that are starting to integrate blockchain into their builds? Are you seeing any change at all in that market?
I'm still sort of newish into the blockchain side, right? My entree into that was essentially this hackathon 3 months ago. And so I would say that the, I mean, or at least my perception, I thought there would be a lot. I'd be like, oh, there's these, diehard crypto coders, and they're not going to like me or whatever, or I'm going to be over here and they're going to be over here. But it's not like that at all, right? It's just like
That's great.
all one come all kind of feeling, right? That you get, at least so far. And that was the same thing. In Cannes, though. Cannes was a little different in that they're very. It was a very well organized hackathon. You couldn't code beforehand, and they checked. They checked your GitHub and all that. And Replit actually checks in code before the code check-in. They like generic frameworks, and so I was in violation right off the bat because the dates they put in, so stuff like that. And then, you can use AI assisted tools, but they can't really be the basis of what you do. And so I'm kind of on the edge of that with what I do,
Nice.
right? I mean, but in the end, you need to tell a good story. You need to know your tech, and the demo needs to work. And if you can get those three things right, you have a very good chance of succeeding in these hackathons.
Very cool. Very cool. As you've been speaking, I've been putting up this QR code. Learn more about Pete. I love what if you go to the Replit, it's from founder to full stack builder. Really, really great title there. Yeah, I appreciate everybody for joining in. Lots of great energy in the community. Just kind of finishing up here. As I look through here, what are some of, like, I guess, next goals for you? You had just mentioned you did another hackathon just recently. What are some of your plans in the future with VibeCard, maybe, or maybe some other ideas that you have going on?
I mean, let's start with VibeCard. I put VibeCard aside for a month or so, and then I had to come back to it for this and update a few of the things on it, think about it again. And a really good sign is when you get more excited when you dust something off and go look at it again. And like some of these questions that came in, like answering those longer term questions about Agentic and the algorithm, those seem like really cool things to be able to tackle.
Nice.
So I would, especially if Circle would want to, put some funding behind it, some grant dollars. I'd love to be able to take it to the next level at least and explore some of these things. Of course, long term with that, the goal would be to make it the center of every Web3 AI viral share that's going on with all this user-generated software, which is not going away anytime soon.
Right.
As I mentioned, my day-to-day is now building some of these, building out some, like VibeCard is an example of that. If I were to go further with it, one I am already going further with is the InstaGift, which is now called lastminute.gift. I am building that out. That is an iOS app that is currently in test flight. It's in beta testing.
Nice.
So I'm going to be releasing that I haven't submitted it for review in the App Store yet, but that'll be coming next week. And then I'm also waiting on the final approval from Stripe. They've given it provisional approval, but you never know with Stripe, so we'll see. where that goes. But and the App Store. The App Store.
I've heard that many times. The App Store, you just never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, fintech, anything to do with gift cards and other money, they're really very finicky around that, as is Stripe. So if I can get through that and get into the App Store, my goal would be to get it in the App Store by the end of the month or early next month. There's that, and I have a couple of other projects in addition to the founders that I work with. So
that's great. That's great. Yeah, everybody, man. There's a lot of great questions, even more. Definitely head over to ArcHouse. Pete, you could even share more updates of your project there. I know that there are a lot of folks that will give you feedback and continue a lot of these thoughts for you. For those that are watching, I'm putting the QR code for ArcHouse up on the screen. So yeah, definitely make sure that you visit, sign in, and get engaged. There's lots of active founders, developers that might give you some more inspiration. So that's always good to hear. You're absolutely right. When you walk away from something and you go back to it and you're as excited, or if not more, that's always a good sign. That's always a good sign.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for watching. This is also the actual website for the Replit if you want to continue to engage. And we will see all of you real soon. Pete, hang on for a second.
Yep.
We see everybody. Thank you for joining in. Appreciate everybody here. Over 6K soon. Nah, man, it was a great show. So yeah, hang on tight. We'll see everybody soon on ArcHouse. Take care.
Thank you, Sam. Had a great time.
Take care.